Welcome to the Epic Success Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Shannon Irvin. Okay, by request, I recorded a training around the 3 key kingdom principles that grow generational wealth. And these 3 kingdom principles, whether you are a person of faith or not, are literally the linchpin between you generating currency flow, cash flow, getting client flow, or stopping it. And the principles that we talk about in this live training, they are, I believe, the 3 key things that you can start to implement that will relieve stress, that will remove the striving. I didn't say working, but the striving. Do you know what I'm talking about? That feeling like you're always having to take from someone else in order to get any kind of result. It's going to remove overwhelm and that feeling of perfection and imposter syndrome. Why? Because you're aligning with these 3 generation wealth building kingdom principles. And that's what we're talking about on the podcast. This was a juicy one. And I needed this to get into your ears today so that you can start to apply these principles. And now, if you're hearing this podcast, and it's when it releases, we have a live event coming up called Fast Forward Your Future. And you're going to want to get in that event because we're going to be teaching you how to unleash your brain to allow success. Because there are things right now that actually have that success switch flipped off, no pun intended. And then we're also going to be teaching you how to create a year's worth of goals in 67 days. So you're going to, and I talk about that in the live training, so you'll hear about it then too. But if you are catching this after that event, I believe the link will still take you to that live event replay. So let's get going. 3 kingdom wealth generating principles. All right, let's go. Hey, happy Thursday. Oh my gosh, I'm losing days this week. Good to see you. Today's live is for you. We're continuing this series around the 21 success strategies that high 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs use so that you can use them too. We're leading into a really amazing event next week. So I'm going to talk to you about that in a little bit, but today is all about wealth generation. So as you're jumping in live, I would love to hear from you. What is it that you want to build wealth for? Because we're going to be talking today about building wealth generation and honoring God at the same time. What do I mean by that? I mean kingdom principles that work whether you are a person of faith or not, whether you're spiritual or not. Now, if you are somebody who is a person of faith, and these kingdom principles should mean something in application to you. And one of the things I see so often is very well-meaning, amazing believers that are not standing into their birthright of kingdom principles. Because whether you are or not a kingdom person, kingdom principles work. And these 3 that I'm going to be talking about today, you got to employ right away if you want to create wealth for you and your family. So if I don't know you, my name is Dr. Shannon Irvin. I help entrepreneurs at 6, 7, and 8 figures train their brains to allow success. And upcoming next week, I am going to be doing my Fast Forward Your Future challenge again, where I'm teaching you how to create a year's worth of goals in 67 days and literally unleashing that part of your mind that will start to allow success. That is a switch that is flipped off. You've got to learn how to flip it on. And we're going to be talking about that next week in the challenge. So if you are not signed up for that, you want to go to 67daystosuccess.com, 67daystosuccess.com. Let me see if I can pop that up here. Yeah, 67daystosuccess.com, because we're deep diving. Like the things that I've been talking about this week are some of the principles on a high level, but we're going to be talking about those principles, not just on a high level. We're going to be talking about how do you apply it? How do you get clarity? How do you unhook from limiting beliefs? How do you manage your leadership so you can go to the next level? How do you create fast success, because let's just be real, in today's economy, it is a separation season. I've been talking about that for a couple months now, and I want you at the front of the line. I do not want you left behind. And what the difference between those that will be left behind, those that will go out of business, those that will be struggling, and those that are at the front of the line is this idea of speed. It's learning how to tap into speed, because money loves speed, wealth loves speed. And in situations like this economically, like entrepreneur lives are born. So like literally businesses that have been the best kept secret. And if you felt like you've been the best kept secret for a year or 6 months or 2 years or whatever, say best kept secret, because this, like if you really hear, apply, and take action on what we're going to do today, and especially starting next week in the live event, everything shifts. And that's what I'm put on the earth to do, is to give you these keys so that you can unlock your mind to allow success. Because there's nothing worse than doing everything you know how to do and literally having your brain work against you, slow down success. And here we are at the end of March. You had all those goals in the very beginning of the year. And unfortunately for a lot of people, this is the slippery slope to compromising your vision, your dreams, and the desires of your heart. Today, we're going to be talking about 3 kingdom principles that allow you to generate wealth and honor God at the same time. Like I said at the top of the hour, if you're not a person of faith, doesn't matter. These are kingdom principles that when you apply it, you apply speed. Like you apply speed immediately. You get clarity immediately. And you start to unhook from limitations, from overwhelm, from procrastination, from perfectionism. I'm going to leave that up for a minute, but if we can have that in there. And I'm curious, love that you love the Fast Forward Challenge. I cannot wait to do it. I'm just jazzed up. We have new things that we have not taught on the last few challenges. I have a couple amazing guests that are going to be coming in. Sarah Cannell is going to come in and teach. Rex Crane is going to come in and teach. And I'm going to be breaking down how do you, not generally, how do you create a year's worth of goals in 67 days? Like clarity. Can I get an amen for clarity? Like in the chat, how amazing, right? Clarity, if knowing the exact right steps to take so that you accomplish the thing that you want would be heaven sent. Put the word clarity, because it's the linchpin. I talk about this, and I'm going to be talking about this linchpin on Monday. If you know what a linchpin is, it's the very thing that makes everything work in a vehicle. So it's like the one thing that without it, nothing works. And I wonder if you have felt like that, like you were missing a piece. Tell me like linchpin, if you're like, I've been missing a piece. I'm doing all the right things. I'm buying the courses. I'm investing in mentors. I'm setting the goals. I did that in January, the SMART goals, right? You did all that. And unfortunately, no one is going to tell you that that system, that old, antiquated, broken system is actually creating employees. It's based on an industrial age system, and it's why you have not succeeded. It literally puts you in your brain in a tug of war against your dreams, your visions, your desires, the thing you want to create in the world. So if you're like, I want that linchpin. Now, I am live. Of course, a lot of you, I'll see you on the replay. I'm using a software called StreamYard. If you haven't given StreamYard permission, I don't know who you are. So if you haven't, just please say your name afterwards, because anytime I'm live, anytime I'm teaching, anytime I'm giving away the things that will make the difference in your life, because that is what I am put on the earth to do, I want to know who I'm talking to, because I want to get you to the finish line. In my company, we talk about when we're going to open the doors to 67-day year coming up again. And I always tell my team, it is not about your yes to joining that program is creating a year's worth of goals in 67 days. That's your yes to you, to your dreams, to your vision. For us, our yes is when we get you to the finish line. That's when we win. And I hope everybody you ever work with has your vision as completion, as the promise, as the goal. So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Next week, we're going to be breaking down the entire 67-day year method. Rex is going to come in and talk about unhooking from limiting beliefs and how to work from your future identity. Sarah Cannell is going to come in and talk about what a million dollar business mindset looks like. I'm going to be also showing you how your brain unleashes success. Who's excited for next week, right? Excited. That's why I'm going live and kind of giving you a little bit of preparation. I call these trainings I'm doing this week. I'm doing another one tomorrow, I believe 10:30 a.m. Central, where I'm breaking down some of these leadership principles that will help you enter into next week's challenge, next week's live event, ready to learn the system, the methods that work now so that you can stop using old broken methods, feeling like you're spinning your wheels. Who's tired of feeling like you're on a rabbit or a hamster wheel, doing all the right things everybody's telling you to do, but intuitively you knew like there's something more, right? There's something more. And you know this every time you set goals and you don't quite accomplish them. And I'm going to permission to be real, say permission if I have permission to be real, because to me, I don't want to tickle your ears and tell you what you want to hear. I want to tell you what works. I want to tell you what's getting in your way. I want to tell you why your blind spots are there and how they can get removed fast. Because honestly, like when you see what is standing in your way, which is what we're going to hit day one, Monday next week, your mind is going to be so wide open that you will never unsee that again. And honestly, 99% of success really falls down to that linchpin. It's knowing what's getting in the way and what really works versus what used to work. So I got to be honest. Are you still, and I got to ask you questions. This is what I'm asking for permission for. Are you still using old, broken, smart system goals that you set in January? Really excited, all the willpower. But if you're honest, and if you can just say, let's see, if you could just say smart, if you've been using what everybody in the world tells you to use in terms of setting goals and creating accomplishment, but it hasn't worked for you, right? Smart, because you are smart. Here's the thing. If those systems worked, you would already be at 6 figures or 7 figures in your business and moving on. And when you find out, number one, why that old system doesn't work anymore, why it works against how your brain is wired, and what to do instead, everything opens for you. Speed opens for you, right? So here's the thing. If you wrote your goals in January and you know you're not hitting the pace to get it accomplished, and you're in the conversation that it's frustrating, I don't know what, why am I not, why, tell me, put clients if you feel like you can't find enough clients. Like you set a goal to get to 6 figures or 5 new clients or whatever it was in January, you set the weight goal, you set the relationship goals, and so write the word clients if that's you. If you're like, I'm trying to get more clients, but I just can't seem, I'm the best kept secret in the world. Nobody knows who I am, and I can't seem to get traction. I can't seem to get traction to get more clients. Write the word client if you're like, I need to get more traction. Because that's one of the key things is traction and momentum towards speed. All right, so let me dive in to see, I'm jumping in and I'm making it longer, but I just really want to get you to open your mind to, Albert Einstein said it back, the best, like you cannot use thinking and methods that didn't work to create a result that does. So what was he talking about? There's got to be a new way. And he was an inventor, right? So the brain and honestly, kingdom principles, scripture shows the right way, but most people don't heed the information. So the information is in scripture. And then what I discovered in my PhD, I have a background in psychology, focusing in on neuropsychology. Really, I wanted to study the science of success. And what I learned is there are 3 key principles that are working, kingdom principles that are working, that all successful people use to train their brain to allow success. So I'm going to tell you number one. Number one is honor. Write that down in the chat. Write honor. See, now the world's going to tell you to be working from ego. The world is going to tell you that ego and being something you're not, and putting out an air of something you are not, and pretending to be more than you are, which makes you feel less because you know that you're putting on a persona, you're putting on a mask, right? Mask. If you're so tired of feeling like you've got to figure out what mask to put on for people to like, hear, know, trust, and then become your client. So we're taught this in the world, that this is how you do it. You get followers instead of being followable. You're getting followers and trying to become somebody that you're not yet. And you're feeling like you have to be all these things before you can do all these things and help all these people. And then you go live and it feels so uncomfortable, like you're putting a mask on your face and having to work through ego. It's exhausting to do it that way. Have you ever felt like, I just don't want to go live? I just don't want to put myself out there, because you feel the schism between who God made you to be and the very good, genuine, effective work that you have to offer, and this pretend version that the world has put out that you should be. You know, do all the dances and maybe if you're a dancing person, then that's natural to you and that's not a mask. But for a lot of people, they're like having to figure out what trends of music, and they weren't listening to music to begin with, and they're spending all this time on ego tasks that satisfy the ego but do not grow your wealth. Satisfy the ego but don't grow your wealth. So the kingdom principle of honor, it's honoring the vision that is put in your heart, honoring the path and the process you've gone through. And I'm curious in the chat, have you been through something and overcome it, or gone faster in it, or created results out of it that could help other people not have to suffer? Tell me that in the chat. Tell me that in the chat. What have you gone through? What mess is now your message? What mess up is now the mission? Right? So honor says, I'm going to take what I've gone through, what I've experienced, the results that I've had, and I am not going to pretend I am something other than I am. I'm going to become followable and not seek followers, right? Can I get an amen for that? So that the idea of honor, it's really authenticity. It's really taking down the walls and the masks that the world says works, which is leaving you exhausted, leaving you with imposter syndrome, leaving you feeling like you're not enough, and adding the kingdom principle of honor. Because let me be real, for the people that are waiting for you to actually share who you really are, they are not going to hear the egoed version of who you are. They're going to hear the real version of who you are. Who just had a huge aha from that? Who just had like a massive aha from that? Because that set me free. Because, you know, I came online a bunch of years ago after having a pretty successful offline business and looked around at what everybody was doing. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to become something that doesn't feel authentic to me in order to authentically serve. That doesn't make sense, right? See that intuition moment? And I almost chased the world of ego. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to zig while everybody else is zagging. I'm going to connect to this kingdom principle of honor. Honor is like your word is your vow, right? When you say, I'm going to go live, you go live, not because it's for you, but because somebody is suffering and they need that result. Right? And so we always think we have to have it perfect, but honor says, honor the journey you've been on. I want you to write that, write journey. If you've been on a journey, and you've overcome some things and you've created some results in your life, I want you to write the word journey, because we're looking to become perfect and your future clients are looking for you to share your journey. They're looking for you to honor the path that you're on. So that's the kingdom principle that you see, one of the kingdom principles. And I love it. That's such a genuine answer. A long, long, long journey. And I want to flip that for this kingdom principle of honor and say, for such a time as this, let's add that to it, for such a time as this, because as it's this time, if you honor that journey, and you're not like helping people from the gaping wound, you're helping people from the process that you've gone through. See, here's the thing. We think people are looking for the perfect version. They're looking for the version that's just ahead of them. Couple steps. So honor is a kingdom principle that builds wealth. Now, I'm going to stop here for a second because I want to land wealth for you. Do you know that wealth is a birthright? Do you know this is a kingdom principle that God's ways are higher than your ways. His thoughts are higher than your thoughts. And combine that with the principle that says, ask and you shall receive, knock and the door will be open for you. I'm going to lead to that one here in a second. But did you know that part of what your birthright is to have more than you could ever ask or imagine? I don't know about you, but I can ask and imagine a lot. I can ask and imagine a lot in terms of wealth. And I want to ask you, what is wealth going to do for you? Tell me in the chat. Like, we're going to be building kingdom wealth. And next week in Fast Forward Your Future, I'm going to show you how to accomplish things so fast because his ways are not your ways. And you're going to learn some of his ways that actually are accelerants to your success that no one else is teaching. So go to 67daystosuccess.com and make sure you get registered for that if you're not already. But this idea that it's your birthright to just allow yourself to honor where you've been, what you've been through, that long, long, long journey. And if you think about it, for such a time as this, the honor comes in because you no longer is about you, but it's about helping others. Now, if you're joining us and you're like, I don't have a business, I'm a CEO and I'm wanting to grow that, it's the same principle. Maybe it's a relationship that you're trying to grow. Maybe it's your relationship with your kids. Maybe it's a health goal. Regardless, accomplishment requires honor. And if we want to tap into the economy of speed so that you don't get left behind, so that you do go to the front of the line in this economy, then we've got to invoke the kingdom principle of honor. God says, love me with all your heart, mind, soul, and spirit, and love others the same way. That is honor. So I want you to apply that to your business. Love the creator that created your experience, that's helped you overcome, that's given you your strength, that's given you your perseverance, and then go and do that same thing, help others the way you've been helped. This principle is key to understand that if you put a mask on that, you will be misperceived and your client base will grow with those that are wearing masks too. And I want you to see how fast you can grow your client base when you invoke this principle of honor. Honor is an opposement to ego. It is a linchpin piece. It's when you go to say, I'm going to go live, you honor the person on the other end more than your fear. When you go to make an offer, you honor their result more than the fear of offering your offer, right? So we want to get you building wealth through this lens of honor, because honor, yes, it's honoring your word. Yes, it's honoring what you've been through, but honor builds others up. Write that down. Honor builds others up. And when we're in fear, we're focused on ego. When we're in honor, we're focused on transformation. We're focused on helping, serving, giving. And those energies are the energy of the flow of wealth. Honor builds others up. Now, if you're building a business, say business in the chat. If you're an entrepreneur, I want you to say business in the chat. If you're starting a business, you're starting being a coach, I want you to write business in the chat. Because listen, entrepreneurs, we are in the business of helping people overcome, go faster, get the results that they want, right? And so what gets in the way is this tug of war, this kingdom principle that I'm talking about right now, that next week we're going to deep dive into which specific blocks are taking you out. But this one, if you get this one thing today, the game can change for you. Because when you honor, it's like, I'm going to feel fear, but it's more about honoring them than worrying about how I feel, right? So honor builds each other's up. Okay, so second kingdom principle is the principle of sowing and reaping. This is going on. God says, I rain on the just and the unjust alike. So whether you are a person of kingdom principles of faith or not, this kingdom principle of sowing seeds is what creates wealth. It's what accelerates accomplishment. It's what accomplishes dreams. What is sowing? Sowing, if you think about the farmer, right? This is such a perfect example, entrepreneurs, of exactly this kingdom principle. Now, I want you to imagine I'm a farmer. There's two farmers standing side by side, and you've got one farmer and they've got their seed. The seed is what you've been through. The seed is what you have to offer. The seed is your coaching. The seed is your program. The seed is the thing that you can help other people with, right? And this farmer is planting seeds, covering it up with good soil, honoring that process and watering it. And over here, you've got Farmer B, and Farmer B is also planting seeds, putting it in good soil and watering it. Now, we're talking about wealth generation. Now, the idea of wealth is as a currency. It flows. That even the word current is in currency, which is in money, which creates wealth, right? So have you thought about the idea is it has to flow. But what the world tells you to do is to take. It's not to sow, it's to take. I need to get from this person. I need to get from this person. I need to get a sale. I need to get this person to buy. I need to get these people to buy my program. It's opposite of actually what generates wealth. What generates wealth is sowing. So you've got your two farmers, Farmer A and Farmer B. Farmer A is over here planting, watering, tending the soil. So is Farmer B. And they wait. Now, Farmer A is trusting the law of sowing and reaping. If I put the seed in the ground, I put it in good soil, and I'm going to continue to water it. I'm going to continue with generosity to water and feed that plant, that I will create a harvest 10, 30, 60, maybe 100 times the size of that little seed. Now, Farmer B over here is he's wanting to take, so he's watering and he's like, I don't get it. What's happening? Why am I not getting a result? Have you ever been there? You put something out and you're like, nobody wants it because you've offered it once, twice. It's not your fault, by the way. It's what the world teaches and it's what's broken, but we want to use that same system to try to still continue to create results. It is a broken process. So we move over to this guy, and he's Farmer B, and he sees a sprout. Both of them see a sprout that comes up about this big, right? And he starts to pull it out of the ground. And meanwhile, Farmer A is looking at this Farmer B, and he's saying, you're not giving back to that seed. You just killed the roots. You just took it out at its infancy, and your seeds aren't going to grow. And so Farmer B keeps digging up seeds and then replanting them, looking to see if anything's happened, digging up the seeds, replanting them, changing courses, changing ideas, changing processes, changing strategies, buying new courses, very much the same. Okay. So Farmer A is over here and he's watering and he's tilling. He's using generosity, which is the nutrient for the law of sowing and reaping. He's trusting the process, right? Trust the process. He's trusting the process. And then when harvest time comes, because Farmer B has pulled up the seeds, there is nothing produced, because his impatience, his desire to take, has rendered the seeds ineffective. But Farmer A, trusting the process, continued to sow the seeds, continued to feed the seeds, continued to pour generosity, and his crop or her crop has grown 100 times, 100-fold. And then it's just a matter of pulling in the harvest, not taking the harvest, pulling in the harvest that comes from sowing the seed. So what does that mean in this world? It means generosity wins. It means what I'm doing right now, it's sowing a seed. It's showing you a different way to look at ego versus honor, taking versus sowing. Tell me in the chat, when you think about growing a business, how much easier is it when you're focusing on just giving what people need, giving people what they need, and you're not worried about what's going to come back to you? Tell me how much, right? Easier, if that feels so much lighter, so much easier to generate wealth because you know you're trusting a process that has to flow in a current. It has to flow in a current, right? So I'm going to wait for your response on that because it's abundant, right? It's just abundant. It's just so much easier. Yet if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of what we're taught is use an ego, put on a face mask, pretend to be something so that you can take. The kingdom principle of growing wealth starts with honor God, honor yourself, honor others, and then invoke the law of sowing and reaping. Plant the seed. What seed? The seed of what you've gone through. Honor the process of what you've gone through. Hey, I've been through this. This can help you. I've been through this and I've created some results on this side. This can help you. That's what I'm doing today. I'm saying these three things, they can really help you. That's planting the seed. That's watering the seed. That's giving it the right soil. And it's continuing the process of nurturing and generosity in honor, in sowing. You've got a natural harvest. I love the word reap because that's what happens, right? You sow a seed and you wait and you reap a harvest. The word reap is so different than the word take, right? The word take, it's like tug of war. And it's like, if I take it, somebody else doesn't have it, right? It's scarcity, ego in a mask, scarcity, sowing, reaping, waiting. The word reap literally means to catch in a basket. Who here wants to catch in a basket wealth? Who wants to open your arms, let the current flow by being generous, sowing seeds, honoring your process that you've gone through, no longer having to pretend, no longer having to be perfect and getting overwhelmed, but you can just literally open your arms and let the current sea flow because you know you're not pulling up the seed, you're not changing your mind. These are the things. Now, the third key, so you honor, sowing and reaping. The third key is this principle of asking. Now, when I first read this principle in scripture and then found out how the brain actually allows success, I literally gasped. It was like, why do we not learn this in school? Like, this is crazy pants. Can you write crazy pants? If you're like, why do I not learn that there is actually a switch in my mind that is flipped off right now because I'm not using this principle, this kingdom principle called ask. See, your brain's, the language of your brain is the future. See, this is a writer downer. Are you ready for the writer downer? Your brain does not need to see it to believe it, but your brain does need to believe it in order for you to see it. Let me say that again. Your brain doesn't need to see it in order for you to believe it. But what does the world teach you? The world teaches you, look at your bank account, look at this, look at your results, look at your number of clients, look at this, look at that, look around to see physical results in your present state. And then you feel like what? You can accomplish more, or do you feel like it's not working? Tell me in the chat. It's crazy pants. So literally we're working against how our brain allows more success. We're saying, I got to see it in the natural in order for it to get created. But the kingdom principle is ask, then you will receive. In other words, your brain needs to be able to see what you want so clearly that the natural byproduct of it is receiving it, the flow of currency, right? So ask, what do I mean by that? Well, the world says to see. See, I told you I didn't get any clients. This must not be working. Crazy pants, right? But the brain works on belief, uncertainty. And I could quote so many scriptures in by the Bible that say, think on what is good, true, and lovely. Renew your mind. Think on what is good. There's so many things in scripture that tells you you've got to do this every day to show your brain what you want it to believe. Because here's the bad news. You ready for the bad news? If you haven't learned this process, we're going to break it all down for you next week. So go to 67daystosuccess.com, get in the live event. It is free. You can do VIP where you can get coached by me. I am doing live coaching before the live event. So you'll get offered that VIP pass. And I would really encourage, if you're really wanting to make a difference this year, to get in that VIP room and get coached by me so I can help you overcome your blind spots, your money blocks, your accomplishment blocks, the things that are getting in your way. So make sure, sign up. And then when you sign up, you'll get offered to go to VIP. That is going to be some powerful, intimate coaching. But back to it. So when you're asking and you're looking to try to see, and your brain is saying, the language of the brain in terms of success is belief. And in order to believe it for your brain, you just have to be able to teach your brain what you want in the future as if it's already happened. Ask and you will have it. Seek and it will happen. Knock and it will be open to you. But that requires creating a life by design, not a life by default. A life by design, not a life by default. See, ego in taking and having to see it to believe it is a life by default. We're waiting for things to happen to us, to get permission, to feel like I'm competent enough, to be perfect, to not be overwhelmed, all of those things in order to accomplish what you know in your heart of hearts, that dream, that vision, that desire that you have. And let's be real. You're listening to me right now and you're live with me right now and you're going to join the event next week because you have big dreams and big vision. I don't know if it's just for you or if it's for your kids, for them to have a different path than you've had, if it's to change the generational wealth pattern in your family, if it's so you can gain more clients and grow a business, if it's so you could start a business and finally be out of that feeling that someone else controls your destiny by default, meaning they can get up on the wrong side of the bed and you're fired and your whole livelihood has changed. I want you to create your own economy. And I'm going to be training on that next week. Creating your own economy is the most powerful thing you can do in an economy like we are in right now. And I'm going to show you the steps to take next week to create your own economy. When you honor, you get out of ego. When you get out of ego, you get out of perfectionism. You get out of imposter syndrome. Can I get an amen for that? When you sow, you actually have the opportunity to reap. Leading, you just open your hands and the byproduct comes into your basket versus taking, which feels like striving, which feels and is scarcity mindset. So we can't constrict a hose and expect water to flow. Like, you ever did that when you were young or growing up? You'd take a hose and you'd like constrict it. And then of course on your best friend, you'd like open it up and then it would like splash them or all that kind of stuff. But what we're doing with these world principles that actually lead you away from wealth, we are taking that hose and we're kinking it so tight. Now, maybe a drip or two are going to come out, but man, it is a lot of work and a lot of stress and a lot of strain and a lot of doubt and a lot of not knowing the next step. I'm just curious for you, the live, and if you're watching on the replay, how is feeling like you don't know the right step? How does that make you feel? How does that leave you in terms of confidence for accomplishing your results? Because that feeling, I remember the feeling so much so that it drove me to learn how to unkink this hose. And so honor, sowing versus, and so you can reap, and asking, getting into the language of success in the brain, teaching your brain to believe it before you see it so that you can. These three kingdom principles are literally the floodgate openers, the linchpins to creating generational wealth. Now, wealth isn't just money, right? We've all seen millions of people that have money and they're miserable. Wealth is creating this life by design where currency is flowing, your calling is being created and is getting out to those that need, and your businesses are flowing. You have multiple streams of income. You're no longer the best kept secret, but you're helping millions, hundreds of thousands of people. Because why? Because you're no longer working against two things. You're no longer working against the kingdom principles, and you're no longer working against how your brain allows success. These are the three key linchpins that I'm talking about today. Now, I'm going to be back tomorrow, and we're going to talk a little bit more tomorrow about creating your own economy. And then our event starts next week on Monday, where we're going to be deep diving into how to create a year's worth of goals in 67 days, ditching those old, broken, antiquated employee making systems that don't work, because if they have, you'd be wildly successful, 7-figure entrepreneur, business owner by now. You're smart, you're wicked smart. So if those things worked, it would all work. So learn what does work. Go to 67daystosuccess.com. I'll see you at the event next week. Tomorrow morning, 10:30, I'll be live. I'm going to actually be mobile tomorrow, but I'm going to be teaching you live a little bit more about 3 key principles to creating your own economy. Until then, I cannot wait to see you at Fast Forward Your Future event next week. I adore you. I'd love to hear in the chat which one of these 3 kingdom wealth generating principles are you going to take action on? Honor, sowing, or asking? Love to hear in the chat. I can't wait to see you next week. Until then, bye for now. All right. That's a wrap for this week's Epic Success podcast. I would like to know, just like I asked at the end there, what is the one kingdom principle you're going to focus on to start to flip from the world's way that is causing the results to not be there to the kingdom principled way where you can start to accomplish all those dreams and visions behind your eyes. And I cannot wait to see you in the Fast Forward Your Future. We will be opening the doors to the 67-day year program here pretty soon. So make sure you click the link in the show notes, and this will literally be the year that changes everything. All right. Bye for now.